Welcome back to Season 3 of Plain and Simple, the Clean Aviation podcast. Today's episode takes us to the cutting edge of European aviation innovation, the flight test of the Next Generation Civil Tiltrotor, a breakthrough made possible through more than a decade of EU-funded collaboration under the Clean Sky 2 program, which is the predecessor of Clean Aviation. But what is a tiltrotor? Imagine an aircraft that can take off vertically, just like a helicopter, but also has the speed and range of a turboprop airplane. The Next Generation Civil Tiltrotor cruises at over 500 kilometers an hour and is capable of flying around 1,800 kilometers. This opens entirely new possibilities for regional mobility, offshore operations, search and rescue, and freight transport, especially in remote areas that remain difficult to reach today. But performance is only one part of the story. Civil aviation faces mounting pressure to reduce emissions and noise while improving connectivity and efficiency. Tiltrotor technology offers a powerful answer. The Civil Tiltrotor demonstrator shows estimated reductions of up to 57% in carbon dioxide, nearly 60% in nitrogen oxide, and as much as 90% in the noise footprint compared with conventional helicopters. The Civil Tiltrotor completed its first flight in December 2025 in Italy, and this was certainly a reason to celebrate for the 12 project partners from the 4 countries involved in its creation. Today, we have with us Matteo Ragazzi, Director of Engineering and Innovation for the Leonardo Helicopter Division, who will take us behind the scenes to explain how this impressive milestone came about. Matteo, for listeners who may be new to this podcast, let's start from the beginning. What exactly is a tiltrotor aircraft and how could it benefit society?
Okay, so a tiltrotor is a combination of an airplane and an helicopter. You can define it as an airplane with the vertical takeoff capability of an helicopter. So it flies like an airplane, but it can take off and land like an helicopter. This is the trick of the vehicle itself. Since the advantage of vertical takeoff is that you need not to have a serious infrastructure, so it's actually not needing airports, if you like, that changes completely the paradigm of transport. So you can actually serve communities and things like that, which are difficult to be accessed at long distance from the air and from the ground. So this is why tiltrotors actually play a role and make a difference with respect to existing solutions.
That's really interesting. And how can this next generation tiltrotor technology strengthen Europe's competitiveness in aviation?
This is very simple. Today, that kind of technology is pretty new to the world. At the moment, it's existing only in the States. And Europe is basically having just one player, that is Leonardo, that is doing the first of a breed. So Europe competitiveness means that Europe can become a second place equal to the United States, where you can master this new technology and the associated vehicles that come with it. So we can create a breed in Europe tailored to the European needs.
Thanks for that, Matteo. When developing this new kind of or new generation of tiltrotors, what are the main sustainability challenges that engineers and researchers must overcome?
Actually, the focus of the design of the vehicle is associated with efficiency. So the vehicle must fly burning as low fuel as possible and fly as far as possible at a given time without using airports. So the efficiency while flying is the design point and if you want, the main challenge. At the same time, it has to have reasonable takeoff performances, vertical takeoff performances and landing, such that it doesn't need to have airports and actually can bring people and goods at far distance. We're talking about a vehicle that flies twice as fast and twice as far of an helicopter, so similar to turboprops. And the other thing that is actually helping the case is the idea to fly above clouds, as the turboprops airplanes do. So it basically does not suffer the limitations of helicopters that have to go low altitude. So in terms of the possibility to carry out a mission versus hostile environments. Imagine bad weather, imagine situations where low visibility and so on. It has a trick more than helicopter because you can fly up in the clouds and above the clouds.
Is there also an element of noise reduction compared to helicopters?
The noise reduction is inherent with, if you like, the idea of having big props, which turn pretty slow. So it is uncomparable to helicopters. It's completely, you hardly hear the a tiltrotor passing by. Of course, this is not applicable when you go vertical, because vertical, you are a helicopter. So you are as noisy as an helicopter, but 90% of the time, you will basically be flying as an airplane. So technically, you can confine the area where you produce noise to a very specific confined area.
It's a very exciting thing to really imagine and seems so new and innovative, even for people who know very little about aviation like myself. So thanks for that. Final question to you. How important is collaboration across European stakeholders in bringing a breakthrough technology like this to life? And how would you assess the strength of today's innovation ecosystem?
So the collaboration is a key factor. Nobody can do such a vehicle alone. And having an ecosystem in Europe, being it suppliers or knowledge base applied to, if you want, suppliers, institutes, OEMs, and players that can produce such a vehicle is absolutely essential. You don't do anything in aviation alone, and you need to have partners of different breeds and so on. So it is essential. We're talking about 80% of the vehicle being purchased, you maybe co-designed, co-developed. So per se, it is in the nature of the beast, if you like, to have this. So essential. Today's situation in Europe is still too fragmented. There are many players. Maybe I'm not saying too many. I'm just saying too many small players where you need to basically pull them and grow them and basically give more oxygen to the ecosystem in such a way they can deliver and produce more solutions at the time needed and not taking so long. So the European ecosystem, if you want me to rank it, not yet okay. Okay, growing but not yet okay for the purpose we have in mind.
And maybe one final question. Can you give us a bit of an idea of the kinds of use cases where these kinds of, this kind of technology will be useful, particularly?
We started with the idea of areas where you don't have so many airports or you have geographical, if you want, obstacles. If you want, just to talk about the domestic issue, in Italy, you have a lot of mountains, few airports, and long distances because the country is pretty much long, in the extension. But in reality, when you go to the other areas of Europe, some other countries have another issue that is associated with the cost of infrastructure, which is prohibitive. In reality, we found ourselves to have a solution that can actually alleviate significantly the cost of infrastructure. I don't think an option is there not to basically say to the European citizens not to move. Okay, so allowing them to move at a lower cost is very essential. The funny story is that we also thought about search and rescue, saving people off the sea, for example, at long distances. So that comes to your mind rather easily. But there were also other situations that people told us knocking at our door. For example, one that was not appreciated initially, even by ourselves, is the number of islands you have in European countries at long distances, which have difficulty being served, if you want, every day by ferries. They don't have airports. So there are many communities that simply rely on a ferry when it is available. And they cannot be betting on, if you want, being served on a daily basis. Imagine what that mean for the health of the people in an island that are not sure they can actually be helped with urgency if needed. So we are realizing that a number of logistic situations that could benefit from a tiltrotor technology are very many.
That sounds very, very useful and indeed lots of great use cases. Thank you so much, Matteo. That was short and sweet and very, very enlightening and exciting. So thanks very much for joining us on this first episode of the new season.
Thank you to you. It's been a pleasure. Absolutely.
One flight, 12 partners, and over a decade of dedication. Bringing a breakthrough like the Next Generation Civil Tiltrotor to life is no small feat. From cutting emissions and noise to redefining regional connectivity, this technology proves that the future of flight isn't just about getting from A to B faster, but smarter and cleaner. A huge thank you to Matteo Ragazzi for walking us through the milestones and challenges behind this remarkable machine. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to Plain and Simple so you don't miss the next story from Europe's journey towards a sustainable aviation future. You can also follow Clean Aviation on LinkedIn or check out our website at clean-aviation.eu. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies.